welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 things that you are to expect if you are a street musician. So this is going to be a bit of an expansion, a bit of an elaboration, on previous busking videos. But hopefully, whether you are a novice or whether you're a very experienced street performer, this should stand you in good stead and should hopefully open your eyes a little bit as to what you should realistically expect when you decide to play on the street for the first time. So here they are. The first thing you should realistically expect as a street musician is not everybody is going to be glad that you're there. Not everybody is going to be glad that you have decided to grace the city with your presence. It doesn't matter what music you play. It doesn't matter how good you are. Not everybody is going to be happy that you're there. And it's just a fact of life. And you think about it this way. You are literally standing on for all practical purposes, a world stage for everyone to see and hear you. And everyone is going to have an opinion on that. It's a very kind of unfiltered sort of environment. It's a very honest and sort of unfiltered environment, really, when you think about it. It can be a little bit compromising, a little bit unyielding, perhaps. And you have to be prepared for that. It's not always kind of this, rose-tinted glasses kind of vibe, positive vibes all around sort of thing. So you do have to be prepared that there is, yes, there's a positive aspect to busking. It's kind of got this like free and easy kind of, free and easy sort of vibe to it. But there is like kind of quite a dark side to it as well. And not everybody is going to like you. You don't really have to have done anything wrong or anything like that. There are some people who just will see it fit just to express their hatred towards you. It's kind of it's sad. Don't get me wrong. It's a very sad thing to kind of be on the receiving end of. It can be quite hurtful. Not gonna lie, but that's one of the things that you kind of got to learn to deal with over time. So and that kind of goes for anybody who's even either a novice or very experienced street musicians. So yeah, that's the first point. That's one thing that you should realistically expect as a street musician. You're not always going to be everyone's cup of tea. So that leads me to the second point. The second thing to expect as a street musician is unwanted criticism or unsolicited advice. There are people who are going to criticize you, and there are people who see it fit to give you unsolicited advice. In other words, give you advice about stuff that they know basically nothing about. And you do have to kind of, sometimes you have to like sort of, hold your ground with these people, or you have to kind of just nod along and just go, yeah, that's cool and everything like that. A lot of the unsolicited advice tends not to be malicious. It tends to just come from fairly well-meaning people, and they tend to be sort of in this category of like, have you ever thought about busking on that day? You should go busk on that day, it'll be busier that day. That kind of thing. It's annoying, it's irritating, but it's not malicious. So it's kind of one of those things that, I recommend that you just kind of like, yeah, nod along and just stuff like that, and then get on with the rest of your day. The criticism you're going to get, it can be kind of about your musical ability. It can be about your song choices. It can be just about, God, man, I've kind of had it all. It's almost too much to reel off, really, for one video. I've even had criticisms about my strap height. I've had criticisms about my song choices. I've had people saying, well, you should do, more popular songs. You get more money. Yeah, I'm telling you. You get stuff like that all the time of certain types of punters. And again, that's irritating. It's not malicious, though. It's just annoying. And it's just people seemingly think that they know better than you. And, but yeah, I've had the kind of musical criticisms maybe I've had in that, one of them was about me strap height. I remember years ago, there was this one girl who came up to me, and she kind of criticized the way I have my strap, because I tend to have my strap like kind of fairly. It's not like up here or anything like that, but it tends to be kind of like quite high because the guitar is really, really accessible to me. And usually it means that I can sit down and I can play the same sitting down as I do standing up. So I don't have to adjust the strap height for anything like that, and that makes practicing very easy. So once you've practiced something sat down, all of a sudden when you stand up, it's not a big deal. There's no adjustment to be made, really. I've been criticised for that. And I remember this one. She went on this spiel about how she has this degree and that degree and stuff like that. I've had all that kind of stuff as well. Usually people will try and one-up you on certain things. Oh yeah, I'm related to this guy or I'm related to that guy, you know, stuff like that. You're to expect that, and that's just yeah, it's one of those things. You can depend on what the situation is. You can kind of just nod along. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I'm sure everyone's got stock phrases for that, or you can kind of just challenge it and just kind of like hold your ground and maybe call it out. But really, it most of the time it just makes it's kind of more time efficient just to nod along, go yeah sure that kind of stuff, and then just get on with the rest of your day. So that's point number two, um, unwanted criticism and unsolicited advice. So and then that leads me to point number three. The third thing to expect as a street musician is you are going to meet lots of potentially weird people, good and bad. You're going to meet some eccentric characters. You're going to meet some people who, let's be honest, wouldn't cross your path if you weren't stood there on the street with a musical instrument or playing a certain type of music or whatever. For some reason, when you're a busker, when you're a street musician, you attract anyone and everyone. It's just the way it is, and you don't really have that much control over it. Really, you can't choose who interacts with your life really and who doesn't. It's just something you have to kind of deal with on a case-by-case basis. The good kind of eccentric people are the ones who kind of brighten up the day a little bit. They might tell an interesting story to you. And even if they're not a particularly eccentric character, they're just someone who's a little bit different and just someone who I guess has lived a little bit. And they might tell you a story. And again, it's just something that makes the day a little more interesting. Because obviously the more you do it, the more it risks being a little more. It can get to the point of mundane after a while, so it's nice to have a day be memorable because of someone like that. On the flip side, you can get somebody who's a little bit suspect to say the least, and those are like the bad people, shall we say? Those are the people that kind of can be potentially threatening, intimidating, maybe, or they're just somebody that you just don't want around you. You know what I mean? And that's okay. And it's okay because, like I said in the first point, not every member of the public is going to like you, but likewise, you're not going to like everybody. And you know what? That's okay. That's perfectly fine. And there's this, all you can do is just kind of deal with it on a case-by-case basis and just hold your ground. So that's the third point, which leads me on to the fourth point. The fourth thing to expect as a street musician is not every day is going to be a good day. Simple as that, especially if you do this for a long period of time, very repetitively. You can wake up, and look outside and think, oh God, yeah, this is gonna be great. And then all of a sudden it doesn't yield financially in the way that you thought it would. Other times you think it's just gonna be naff, or at least just at best average. And you walk away, feeling pretty chuffed, thinking, God, wow, that was, it can surprise you. A lot of the time, depending on your ability level, it doesn't actually matter how well you play. Sometimes, it can be going really well and everything just sounds perfect, sounds great, everything's in sync, but it doesn't equate to like financial gain sometimes. Other times, it can be, you're not playing very well, or in your head at least, you're playing like absolute garbage, and it's just none of the notes are coming out. Nothing's going right. It just doesn't feel good. And all of a sudden it's one of the best days ever. I'm not sure why. I'm sure there's a lot of debate on forums about this. I'm sure some people have some input into that. But yeah, that's a bottom line. Like, not every day is going to be a good day. It's not always reflective of your ability. So just because you walk away with maybe a substandard amount doesn't mean necessarily that you played or sang badly. So it's just one of those things to be aware of. And that leads me to the fifth and final point. And on a more positive note, the final thing to expect is you are going to have an impact on people. You are going to elicit some kind of emotional response in any potential listeners who are passing by. And that's a great thing. I think that's something that we should all aspire to, no matter what kind of music we play. I think, to be able to affect somebody just there and then with the notes that you're playing or whatever song you play, I think is I think that's a great thing. Who knows what it is, right place, right time, right notes, right time. Who knows? Sometimes you can be just sometimes just a case of you just playing something nice. You just maybe just noodling away, and somebody will be like, "Oh my god, that just sounds great. That's the best thing ever." Um, Sometimes it's not always down to like sometimes how ridiculously and technically complicated your licks, riffs, and runs are. It's just who knows what it is. But either way, it's all good. It's good to be able to have that kind of just catch somebody at the right at the right time like that. So yeah, well, I think we'll wrap that up. If you enjoyed that video, please hit the big red subscribe button for future videos, and of course, like the video. And I will hopefully see you in future videos. Take care now. Cheers.